Hello. Good morning. Late start this morning. I was tired. I was tired this morning. It's Saturday. Welcome to Hobby Evolution episode 624. Nobody is watching. I am talking to the wall today. Hopefully, I just tweeted out the link, so hopefully it's just a late arriving crowd. Otherwise, I'm just going to wrap it up. What's up? What's up? It's Saturday. I'm a little tired this morning. Not from beers, though. I woke up this morning. I'm like, damn, I'm tired. I'm going to go back to bed. Do you ever, this is another one of my quirks. Do you ever wake up in the morning and quiz yourself? Like, try to guess what time it is? So now in this new age of technology, we don't have clocks on the walls anymore. It's really weird when I go to if I help my wife and we go to like a house to list, if I'm just there, usually if I'm with my wife at a house to list, it's because they need heavy furniture moved. We need to take this door off and put a new door on. Honey, I don't know how to do that stuff. I can lift it, but I can't fix things. Anyway, some of these are elderly homes, and it's like stepping back in time to 1984. Not George Orwell's version, but just life's version of 1984. Like, wow, there's clocks on the walls. Hey, look at this, a calendar. So when I wake up, we don't even have like a cable box that shows the time, or a VCR blinking 12 o'clock. None of that. So when I wake up in the morning, I'm like, I wonder what time it is. And sometimes it's like, you're like, I bet it's 6:30. And then you look at your phone on the nightstand. Holy crap, it's 9 o'clock. And even though like today, I have nothing going on outside of just shipping and listing. That's my life. And I'm going to talk about that. I'm a little fatigued. So shipping and listing, that's all I have going on. I don't have to go anywhere. I don't have to do anything. I do, but I could choose not to. If I chose not to, I wouldn't make any money. But if I woke up and it was 9 o'clock, I would freak out because I don't sleep in that late. Sleeping in for me is like today, 7:15 or whatever it was. So initially I woke up and I was like up. But at the same time, it's like, if I want to sleep in, I could. It's Saturday. I don't have to come down because Saturday and Sunday for Hobby Evolution, it's like whenever I wake up and decide to turn on the click live. But Monday through Friday, you can count on me. 7 a.m. Well, sometimes 7:05, depending on my Wi-Fi connection. So I wake up. It's like I can sleep in if I want. I wonder what time it is. And I'm like, I'm going to say it's 6 a.m. And damn, I was close. It was like 5:52. And I'm like, ain't no way I'm getting up at 5:52 this morning. And I'm like, did I drink last night? I'm freaking tired. I am tired. Did I drink last night? No, but I had half a large Casey's pizza. Correction. Half a large Casey's taco pizza. It was, it was delicious. I had to go to a different Casey's. I had to drive. Listen to this. For my gas station pizza, I drove. This is how loyal I am to Casey's gas station pizza. The nearest Casey's general store is 7 minutes away. Pretty easy drive. But they're also the most disorganized. And one time I called up, and one time, the first issue that I had with the Verona, Wisconsin, I'll call them out, the Verona, Wisconsin Casey's, I ordered a pizza, and I'm like excited. I'm getting a Casey's pizza. And like 20 minutes later, I get a phone call, and they're like, yeah, this is Casey's. We're closed. And I'm like, wait, what? I just ordered a pizza. And they're like, oh no, the whole store is closed. And I'm like, why? They're like, oh, they were remodeling or renovating. Like, I had no idea you could still order a pizza on the Casey's website. So that was the first problem I had with Verona, Wisconsin Casey's. Then the pandemic came along, and I like called them out. People were like, oh, give them a break because of, it's hard to find good work. And I won't go into that. Anyway, I call up and I'm like, I tried to order a pizza. I tried to order online. It wouldn't let me. So I called Casey's thinking maybe they're remodeling again. And they're like, we're closing in 10 minutes. And mind you, this is like 6:30 or 6:45 on a Friday. I'm like, you're closing at 7? They're like, yeah. And I'm like, on a Friday? Yeah. I'm like, why? We don't have anybody to work. I'm like, really? This is so that was my second issue with the Verona, Wisconsin Casey's General Store. Then I've had a third and fourth issue, which were the same. Like 2 weeks ago, I put an order in, and it said it was going to be 120 minutes before my pizza would be ready. And I'm like, I don't believe you. How come I always second guess? We're closed. Really? Why? I don't believe you. So I'm like, I'm gonna put. I'm because I'm stubborn like that. I'm gonna put my order in and test the system. Is it really gonna be in 120 minutes? So I'm like, I'll just wait. And I waited like 20 minutes, and I'm like, screw it. I put in like Hot Pockets, and so I had Hot Pockets for dinner that night. All of a sudden, like 2 hours later, like on the nose, Casey's Pizza calls. Yeah, your pizza's ready. And I'm like, it's 9 o'clock on a Friday. Like, I don't want that pizza no more. So that was my third issue with the Verona, Wisconsin Casey's General Store. And then the fourth issue was last night, same thing, but I just ended up going to a different Casey's. It was a 105-minute wait, so they cut it back 15 minutes from 2 weeks ago. And I'm like, okay, screw it, Verona. I gave you 3 strikes. You're out. I'm going to go to, but I'm not striking out Casey's because your pizza's too delicious. I'm just going to drive even further to get my gas station pizza. So I went to Belleville, Wisconsin, which is about a 25-minute drive. I'm passing a lot of really good restaurants and a lot of really good pizza places to get my gas station pizza fix. So I drove all the way to Belleville, got my Casey's pizza. It was hot and ready. I think that's what they say. Hot and fresh, hot and ready, whatever it is. It was delicious. So thank you, Casey's, for making delicious gas station pizza that I will even drive nearly 30 minutes to go pick up. So what's up in the chat? Let's see. Dollar Box, Adam in the house. Card Hobbyist, good morning. Dollar Box says I got up at 4:30 and got a bunch of card work done already. Now coffee and donuts. John says you'll be getting up at 5:52 in 10 years. I'll probably be waking up at 5:52 tomorrow. Usually 5:30 is when I wake up. Card Hobbyist says the Wi-Fi signal in the dungeon is exceptionally clear this morning. Thank you. Guess what I did? There's a reason for that. And it's not a Wi-Fi. I've still got that written on my whiteboard. Wi-Fi. It's not a Wi-Fi mesh network. It's not a booster. It's not connected. What I did was this morning, I'm typing in, and it's taking for frickin' ever. Like just opening up my email and opening up web pages, my internet, that slow. It's like, if it's this slow when I start shipping after I end my live stream this morning, I'm going to pull my hair out. John can't say that. Sorry, John. So I'm like, shoot, I've got to do. So I went upstairs get my coffee, and I went to the router, and back in the day, we could just bang on the side of the TV. Like this is my technology experience, how to fix technology. Today, we don't have big, what are the old tube TVs? We don't have big tube TVs. We can't just slap the side of the TV box and all of a sudden the the reception gets clear because all these skinny little plasma screens and whatnot. So I can't do that. I can still hit Control Alt Delete to try to fix my computer. I can restart it and shut it down. So that hasn't changed. So with the router, my it's either shut it down, turn it off, turn it on, or just adjust the antennas. The last couple times I've adjusted the antennas, it's actually worked. Last time I did it, in fact, it worked for like several months, and now I'm having a bunch of issues here lately. It's also, we had built-in cabinets put in upstairs in the living room, and so the router used to be on like a exposed cabinet shelf, so it was open. Now it's behind closed cabinet doors, and I'm sure that obstructs some of the radioactive internet waves or whatever they are. So I opened the cabinet door, fondled the antennas, moved them around a little bit, and I'm like, I'll just keep the cabinet door open and see if those radio waves get out and help my connection. So I'm glad that somebody reports the connection is clear this morning, because I worked hard for those 30 seconds trying to fix my router and my Wi-Fi strength. Henry got up early and started sorting papers and cards. Zach and Porter are with us. They say Quick Trip better than Casey's. I'm still, man, Quick Trip is good, but I'm still, it's Casey's Pizza for me. And it's also the familiarity. Casey's is familiar because growing up in rural Illinois, every small town had a Casey's. I know where the bathrooms are. If I'm on like a road trip, and usually when I go back to my hometown, I take back roads because I hate interstates. So I go through all these small towns, and there's a Casey in every small town, and I know they're all set up the same, and I'm sure Quick Trips are too, but I'm just not as familiar. And most of my travels, there's not a Quick Trip where I travel to, which is typically Illinois. So I'm just more familiar with Casey's. I have had the Quick Trip pizza. It's not even close to Casey's. Not even close. Doesn't sniff Casey's pizza. I have not tried the fried chicken. I considered it because the Quick Trip is like a block away from my house. Well, it's actually like a couple blocks. It's not like within, I could walk, but it's kind of a busy highway and there's no sidewalk. I guess if there's blocks, it's actually probably like 5 or 6 blocks. But it's like one county block, like one big outside the city block. Anyway, I'm Casey. I'm Team Casey's because it's familiar. And the pizza puts it over the top. Ken, what is up? That K got me. Ken, I'd like to thank my neighbor for mowing at 7:20 a.m. and waking me up to be here. Frank had his sprinklers worked on yesterday. He was out front, and he had some company over, and the sprinklers were on. We got a ton of rain yesterday, which was awesome. I'm like, what are you doing? He's like, the sprinklers, I guess they settle and they get below and they're not watering his grass. And that's why he's got brown grass. Frank's got brown. Actually, it's not. It's green. It's greenish brown. It's less green than my lawn. And I don't have those fancy ground sprinklers. So he's probably going to have a golf course lawn the rest of the summer because now his sprinklers are up above ground and they can accurately spray the grass with water. John says, don't answer the phone if you can't make a pizza before you close. Hell yeah. My rooms are clean. I don't believe me. TD Sports Cards, what is up? Good morning. My chat skipped around. Now I'm frozen on my screen. I can't see me talk. Okay, now I can. Where are we at? TD Sports Cards. OPEC loves Bo. Yeah, for my actually, I might have to give Quick Trip. Quick Trip gets a point. The Quick Trip nearest me. I don't know. Actually, I don't know what the price is down at the closest one, but the Quick Trip on the other side, $3.86 for a gallon of like regular gas, that 15% ethanol or whatever, the really cheap gas is like 370. But the Casey's in Belleville was like 409 or 4 something. It was just above $4, but we're under $4 a gallon at some locations here in Madison. Zach says now he's on his electric cycle. I haven't ridden my bike lately. I've been like just inundated with card stuff. So I think the reason I titled this, have you ever gotten hobby fatigue? I see it a lot. And I'm getting a little fatigue, but it's not, I wouldn't consider it hobby fatigue. It's work fatigue. I'm getting tired of shipping and listing. Wife comes home. What'd you do today? Shipping and listing. It's like all I can say, shipping and listing. But it's by my own design. And so I think I'm recognizing that fatigue is starting to set in just because this week has been shipping and listing, like cue the Lionel Richie all night long. So George says I'm late. So going back to the electric cycle. So tomorrow I may just break off and do a bike ride. I don't know what the weather forecast. It's warmer. I'm wearing a hoodie. You notice I'm wearing a hoodie this morning. It's actually warmer inside with the air conditioning on than it is outside. My computer says it's 64 degrees outside. Let's see if my phone says. It's also foggy. There's a dense fog advisory. Maybe that's why I woke up and my head felt like I'd been drinking. 65 degrees, dense fog advisory. It's only going to be, it's going to be 81 degrees today, 85 tomorrow, 89 on Monday and Tuesday. That's my type of summer July weather. 90 degrees, hit the 90. So tomorrow, sunny and 85. That's a perfect riding day. So I'll try to be a good boy, get my work done today so I can go for a bike ride tomorrow. John says I pull hair out, but it's from my ears now. Victor, what is up? Good morning, everyone. Wow, your image looks super clear. Second person. Yes. I was just talking about that. I fondled the router antennas. I left the cabinet door open to let them escape into the world to get down the stairs into my card room. So that is awesome. My troubleshooting worked this morning. Jenny's late. Happy Saturday. Hope you all had some great sales today. George says, fondled the antennas. What kind of Star Trek smut film is this? I actually, I stole fondled the antennas. I stole that from Sports Card Radio because they call collectors card fondlers. And I think that's funny. I think it's a very funny term. So I think whenever I adjust things like router antennas, I'm going to call it fondling. I fondled the antennas because basically that's what I did. I just kind of fondled them. The Card Hobbyist, is the router in a lead cabinet? It might be. The Show and Me, what is up? Good morning. Got COVID at a conference this week in San Diego. That is not good. That is not good to hear. Burned through a ton of leave and spent money I didn't expect. Going to have to cancel the National. That's not good either. And I thought maybe when you meant leave, I thought you meant that kind of leave. Maybe you did. Let's see. Jenny says my unwritten rule. Oh, wait, I skipped way ahead. There we are. Jenny says I'm pulling Cubs, White Sox, Giants, Phillies, Braves from some bulk right now. Wonder who they are for. I actually did. I owed some people. I had somebody reach out and they're like, hey, I sent you some stuff like 6 months ago. I'm like, oh, yeah. So I'm starting to pull. I went through after I washed my greasy fingers from the Casey's Taco Pizza. I did some card sorting. Had SmackDown on, which I didn't really enjoy, but it was like, hey, this is like my childhood right here. Casey's Taco Pizza, baseball cards, and wrestling. So I was pulling some cards that I'll put in my eBay store. A lot of, I think it was like 1994 tops, but I'm just plowing through, and it's surprising how many of those actually do sell. Let's see. Zach is out. Have a great day. Pepino Man in. What's up? Pepino says best time to work on your lawn is first thing in the morning. Absolutely. Let's see. Pepino says gas is above $6 in LA. Ken, on the other hand, saw 363 last night. SCA says 649 in San Diego. Holy cow. Let's see. I get hobby fatigue multiple times a year. Thanks everyone. I'm on the mend, but what a mess. That does suck. Jenny says my unwritten rule is I do not mow residential before 9 a.m. Businesses I'll do at 6 a.m. Snow plowing, residential before 6 a.m. depending on amount because people need to get out, but the plow is loud. I don't know. I don't mow before noon usually. I like afternoon mows. And here's why. Because there's nothing better than a mid-mow beer. And so I bag my grass, the lawn grass. And so after I get like one or two bags, I'll go in, get a beer, and I enjoy like a light domestic, like a Bud Light or a Coors Light. Or I'll go, there's a local brewery here, actually in Verona, just down the street from the Casey's that sucks in Verona, Wisconsin. Choose Belleville if you're in the area and you want gas station pizza. Down the street, it's called Hop House Brewery. And they have a beer called Sweet Sunglasses. They've actually changed. They've changed up their art, their can art, as well as their like tagline, which I don't know what their new tagline is, but it used to be the lawn mowing beer. And I'm like, I saw that that's what drew me in. It's like, hey, I love a good lawn mowing beer. And if you're going to tout this as a lawn mowing beer, I'm all in. And it was good. I don't know if they changed the recipe. It doesn't seem as, they call it Sweet Sunglasses. And it did have like almost a sweet touch to it. But like Summer Shandy is too fruity, lemony for me. I do like those kinds of beers in the summer months, in the hot heat. But it's too much. The Summer Shandy's too much. But Sweet Sunglasses had almost like just a little hint. And that hint seems to be gone. And now it's just like a regular beer. Which, hey, it's okay, but I wanted that little sweet hint to it. So I don't know if they did change but they basically changed everything about it. And I'm going to have to go. And actually that's like sometimes when last summer, I would go there like 3 or 4 times on my bike. It's a pretty quick ride. But yeah, they changed. It's not the lawn mowing beer anymore. It's a different can art. It tastes different. And they went like a year. I couldn't find it. And I think it was last year. So they may have just like taken it off the menu and then revamped it. But I liked the pre-pandemic Sweet Sunglasses. Let's see. Where are we at? Let's see. Card Hobbyist says instead of shipping and listing, you should flip the script and do some listing and shipping. You know what I do? I do that. I actually I do flip the script as far as, instead of, usually what I do is I do this show, go upstairs after the show, get a second cup of coffee, come back down, continue to ship. And by like, if I go on live at 7, then 10 o'clock, I go upstairs and I list for like an hour, take the dog for a walk, come back, list for an hour, eat lunch, post office, come back and ship. So I do flip the script. And, sometimes, and I've started this within the last couple of weeks where after the show, I'll go, and if it's a nice day, I'll actually go out, have my second cup of coffee out on the patio just to kind of like refresh. And then I'll go in, I'll list, come down and ship. So I do flip the script just to kind of break up the monotony. Pepino doesn't get hobby fatigue. Maybe sometimes I get YouTube fatigue. And I think maybe that's another thing. I'm not fatigued. I think I need to push the reset button on, I need to spend like a day away like, because I'm in the house all day long. And I haven't done, what was the last thing last Saturday I went to Baseball Card Exchange. But then Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, I'm shipping and listing, shipping and listing, listing and shipping, listing and shipping, shipping and listing. Oh, it's time for a post office run, during the day. That's been my life for 6 days. And I think maybe it's that. Maybe I just need to call a buddy, hey, let's go to the brewery and I need to have a couple beers just to get out of the house. That's not the post office, Target, or Walmart. So I think maybe that's where it's not the card. I still love what I do. I still love the shipping and listing and shipping, but I just need to like take a break. And I don't know how to take a break in these walls. Like if I'm here at home and it's like, okay, I need to step away, I'm going to go watch a movie or TV show. And what do I do immediately? I grab a stack of cards and I start listing on my phone. Like I just can't. Or it's like if I'm in the rec room, and I did this last night. It's like, okay, I'm tired of sorting. I'm gonna lay on the couch, and I start listing. Okay, I'm tired of listing. I go back on the floor and start sorting again. So I can't escape it when I'm in these walls. So, and I don't think I can figure out a way to like change that mindset. I think I just need to get out of the house, take a bike ride, go out to the bar, brewery with a friend and just do that. But it's not a hobby fatigue. I think it's just a work fatigue. It's just, or it's cabin fever. So I think that's more of what it is for me. But you mentioned the YouTube fatigue, and it's kind of lending it to, I'm focused. I'm like hyper focused on building my eBay store, keeping up with shipping, building my eBay store, keeping up with my shipping, building my eBay store, and so on and so forth, that I'm not even like, I haven't even like tweeted or like, I'll get some notifications and I'll boom retweet, but I'm not looking. And that's how I come up with my content for this show is I'm on Twitter and it's like, I'll see somebody tweet something. Oh, hey, that's something good. I've got some opinions I'll share on my show. And I haven't been doing that this week. So it's like you see these generic thumbnails because I don't really know what to talk about because I'm not really active on social media. Henry says, I'm fatigued because I'm always out of stamps and behind in mailing postcards and TTM. Card Hobbyist says, LOL, it's already 81 degrees here. I would take that. I would totally take that. Although I do, here's what I would totally take that. But at the same time, it's like, actually, I kind of like the 64 degrees and raining because it keeps me in shipping and listing and shipping. But that's what I'm fatigued from. My mind's a mess. My mind is a mess. Henry says, don't beat me up. I had a Heineken. Let's see. Oh, shoot. I skipped ahead. Where am I at? Skipped way ahead. Jesus. Okay, here we are. Henry says, hey, Pep, I mentioned you in a chat last night and Extreme Card Breaks did not know who you were and don't watch you. That's crazy. George says, I ain't got hobby fatigue. I've got spending money on anything other than necessities fatigue. Take a drink to fondle. Tracy says, good morning. What is up, Tracy? Let's see. I still need to send Bo Cubs cards from KBO Collections and myself, but I just keep holding off since he's on about a 3-year backlog. That's about true. SmackDown caught the end of it, and it looked stupid and not good stupid. It is. And I think for me, I haven't really enjoyed WWE in like 10 years. There's been some storylines in the last few years that I've enjoyed, but overall it just kind of sucks. And maybe I'm just too caught up in I loved the 80s and 90s WWF, and it's just not, and I loved it because that's nostalgia for me, and I probably put it on a pedestal. And I think back, and I think I enjoyed the 80s and 90s WWF because I was a kid, and that era really catered to kids. I mean, You had the Red Rooster. You had the Brooklyn Brawler. You had these cheesy gimmicks. You had Doink the Clown, the Undertaker, like all of these gimmicks. And I'm a kid. And so I loved that. And now today, that's all nostalgia for me. And it's like, what if I was 40 back in 1994? Would I have looked at WWF the same? And I remember like the generation older than me, like my parents' generation, my dad looks at The Undertaker and Doink the Clown and Gold Dust, and he's like, oh, this isn't, I like the Crusher and Vern Gagne, and those old school wrestlers. My dad looked at pro wrestling in the 90s like Jim Cornette looks at wrestling today. And so and that's because that's what he grew up on, the Crusher and Vern Gagne. And I grew up on Gold Dust and Doink the Clown, and that's what I when I watch wrestling, I'm typically watching older wrestling because that's just nostalgia for me. And so I just can't get into the current product, although I really enjoy AEW. And I think the storylines and the writing is similar to those storylines of, the 90s, both the goofy era as well as the late 90s attitude era. It's kind of I think AEW's storylines are a little closer to, a mix of attitude era and goofy cartoonish era, which is what I like. So I tend to watch AEW way more than the current WWE product. John says, I don't mow at all, not my choice. Ken says, oh yeah, I had my lawn watering done by 8:45. Let's see. Where are we at? Bo likes afternoon mows. He's not in Texas. The two are completely related. I have a beer at 9 a.m. because I'm on George time. Just kidding. I don't even drink. Let's see. George says, I forgot that I even sent any. Tracy says, takes 2.5 hours to mow our yard. Weedy with two of us doing it early morning for me. Holy moly. It takes me, I can get my lawn I'm in a cookie cutter subdivision. And I've got a bigger yard than most, in like nearby in my neighborhood. And it takes me about 45 minutes to mow and weed eat. Mow and trim, about 45 minutes, depending on the length of my mid-mow beer. If I have a mid-mow beer and I'm just kind of sipping it and looking at Twitter, maybe an hour. Let's see. Or sometimes if it's a hot day and maybe it's a Saturday, I'll have a mid-mow beer and then I'll have a post-mow beer before I trim. And then I have a post-trim beer. Let's see. Jenny, I'm drinking one right now. Card Hobby says, get you a sour. It's made for mowing days. I'm not I don't get into sours. I don't like sours. Although, and I talked about my neighbor. So I've got Frank over here to my east. Yeah. I got Frank to the east. I've got Garrett on the west. Garrett works for a distributor. And I think I talked about this. I think it was 2 weeks ago. And him and his wife were out grilling, and my dog loves to go on freedom runs, and had to chase her over there. And he's like, oh, hey, I got something for you. And he comes out like his arms are just full of beer. And they're the high noon, I think is what it is. Like the summer sips, high noon summer sips. And I'm like, I looked at it. I'm like, oh, thank you. Oh, awesome. And I'm thinking in my head, like, oh, I hate these. And I had one, and it was like, okay, I had to get used to it. And then I had a second one. I'm like, damn, these are good. So I'm kind of like 4.5% ABV. It's not beer, it's like vodka. It's like a vodka spritzer or something. I don't know. But it's damn good, and I'm not afraid to admit it. Damn good. High noon sips. I've had like all the flavors. He gave me a sample pack. He gave me cans of like all the different, there's lime. I even like the peach. I hate peach flavored stuff, but the peach is even good. Peach, lime, guava. I think there was a strawberry. There's a ton. There's like 8 flavors, and I liked them all. Let's see. I have a friend who cut the grass. If you know what I mean. I know what you mean. Pepino, it's usually in the hundreds where I live in the summer. My tall can get hot before I finish it if I drink outside of the summer. My tall can gets hot before I finish it if I drink outside in the summer. Let's see. All I need in the summer is a light beer, something that's close to water to keep me hydrated. Amen. I'm all about the light beers in the summer. I drink a lot more like Bud Light, Coors Light in the summer months. In the winter months, it's more of a. I don't really drink porters that much. I used to be a big stout and porter fan in the winter, but I'm kind of just a little more hearty. I don't like Bud Lights and Coors Lights in the winter months, but it's like more of an ale, wheat ale. I hate IPAs, so I don't drink IPAs, but just something with a little more oomph to it. Henry had a Heineken. Max Meyer cards. If you have them, list them. He got called up, pitches today. I hope I can get it. He's from Minnesota. The Royals also called up because they have like 10 guys that can't go into Canada because they're not vaccinated. So they called up a bunch of players. Brewer Hicklin, Michael Massey, Nick Pratto were all called up for the Kansas City Royals for their series in Toronto this weekend. Let's see. Bo, I think you were stuck on repeat there. There was a lot of shipping and listing. That's been my life. Listing and shipping and listing and shipping. Let's see. Skipping ahead. Where are we at? This is a lively chat for a Saturday. And I came in like, I don't even want to go live. I'm tired. Tired and cranky. I ate one too many slices of Casey's gas station taco pizza last night. Let's see. Ken says, I do think that the fatigue might be the home all the time. I think you're exactly right. I think that's what it is. I don't think it has nothing to do with cards because I still love doing cards and I still love the hobby side of it with my Cubs collection. I still love the listing and shipping and listing and shipping. But I think the fatigue is just being at home. And I think that is exactly where the fatigue is coming from. Now that I'm a completely remote worker, I've been getting the home fatigue. This from someone that before was a complete homebody. Yeah. And that's kind of where I'm at. It's like, I've always been, starting in my 30s, probably I became a more of a homebody. But even in my 20s, like my friends would go out, whether it would be to their friend's house or the bar or wherever. And it's like, I need a night away from people. Like I just need to be home, hang out. And now it's like, that's what every day is for me. Like it's just sitting at home, not working, but being at home. It's like, we were helping my wife's grandma is moving into an assisted living facility. And we were putting some stuff in her new place. And my mother-in-law, normally I would be like, I don't want to go out to dinner. My mother-in-law's, do you want to go? Do you guys want to go out to dinner? And I'm like, my wife's like, no, I want to get this finished so I can go home. And I'm like, let's go. Let's go. I need to go out to dinner. I haven't gone out to dinner in months. Actually, no, we went out to dinner a couple weeks ago. Let's see. George says, so basically you need to expand to an office outside of the house, and I have thought about that, but it's like, I don't want to do that because basically it's just not feasible with overhead expenses. Like, yeah, it would be nice to have like a small office away from home, but then it's like, okay, now you've got rent, you've got water bill, you've got a electricity bill, you've got another internet bill, and it's like that just not feasible. Let's see. Henry says, getting myself to do stuff from home is tough when business is slow. It's tough to hang competitive with Jenny, the listing machine. Jamie, what is up? I live in Rhinelander, Wisconsin, and the moisture is so thick in the air, it feels like it's misting and raining, but it's not. Gotta love the humidity. I love humidity. And it was like, so we got a lot of rain yesterday. And when I took the dog out last night, the sliding door was just like nothing but like fog, like it's super humid. And it didn't feel as humid as the windows made it appear. But it's super foggy. We've got dense fog advisory, super foggy, high humidity. I love it. It's only 65 degrees though, so that humidity, if it's 85 degrees with the high humidity, I'm outside soaking it in, just sweating, just sitting down, just sitting and sweating. I love it. Mark says, I started watching WWF in the 1970s. The 80s and 90s were the best. Okay, so there's somebody was a little older in the 80s and 90s and enjoyed that era better. Jenny says, I think I am pushing Bo to get his store up. He's secretly competitive, and I know when I tell him my actives, it drives him, helping him win his first year. It does. When I see other people tweet about, I listed this, it does drive me. It does help. Absolutely. It does. But it also, like, I'm also driven by the sales portion. Like, if I was listing, and I know some people like have 40,000 plus items in their store, but they're selling about the same as what I'm selling, or maybe even less. And if I was at that point, I would be discouraged, and I would probably list less. But what I'm listing, it takes me a little longer because I'm listing a wide variety of cards, just pulling cards out of a dime box, that I bought for a penny a card. And some of them are selling for $2.50, $2.50 with free shipping. And when you move a whole bunch of them, it's like, yes, that's a driver as well. When they sell, is a big driver. But I'm also, I'm also competitive with. I want to have, I want to, I got 1,500 items listed this week. I think Monday was my biggest day. I was pretty much confined to my upstairs office when the painters were here. So I was able to get like 525 listings added on Monday. And then I said yesterday morning, I'm like, I don't know if I'll do any listing today. And I ended up listing like 250 cards yesterday. So I think I got to 1,500 for the week. And I'm within 100, I think now, of 16,000. So I think my goal last week was 15,000, and I got past that. And now let's see where my active is, and my numbers are up. And I think I put that in the description. So yeah, I'm at 15,917 active listings. So want to get to 6. My goal was 16,000, but doing 250. I didn't know if I would do it, because yesterday it's like, I'm not going to do any listing. I'm going to focus on shipping. But I ended up 250, and I can hammer when I have I had a lot of cards that were just ready to go. All I have to do is scan them and boom. So it's a lot easier. But once I get through these last couple piles, I'm going to have to dig through and keep finding cards to list. So, but I do have enough to get me past 16,000 this weekend. So maybe today. Let's see. Dan says live ? I don't know what that means. What's up, Dan? Baseball Card Illustrated. What is up? The 80s and 90s. WWF was so much better. The characters were more fun, and they gave the stories the necessary time to build. Plus, we were kids, so we lived and breathed with those guys and women. That's another good point that I didn't touch on that Baseball Card Illustrated mentions. Is the key is they gave the stories the necessary time to build. Some of the greatest storylines in the history of WWF were during that time. Because what Baseball Card Illustrated says, the necessary time to build. The Macho Man Randy Savage Hulk Hogan feud, that was a buildup of almost a year, and they wrote it so well. The Hebner referee switch. I mean, those are two of the greatest storylines ever. But they didn't have to. Now it's like we have a pay-per-view or whatever they call them now, every single month. And so, and now they build sometimes pay-per-view to pay-per-view. So it's like a month, and they have so much content, which I know everybody wants content. But there's too much. And now it's like, I miss in 1995, 96, man, I would have loved to have, I couldn't get enough. I was buying WWF magazine. I was buying Pro Wrestling Illustrated, The Wrestler, Inside Wrestling, Wrestling America, Wrestling Superstars, the Almanacs, the PWI 500. I couldn't consume enough wrestling content, and I was starved for more. And if you would have told me that, hey, in 20 years, you're going to have like the internet, you're going to have like an app that you can watch like thousands and thousands of hours of old wrestling, new wrestling. There's going to be 15 hours of new content every week. And I would have been like, oh, that's heaven. And now it's like, God, I kind of miss the simplicity of the 90s. I miss going to the bookstore and buying a couple wrestling magazines, going home and watching a 1 hour edition of Monday Night Raw, and then having to wait until Saturday for WWF Superstars, and then maybe Livewire or whatever other show, and then doing it all again Monday. And then, well, if I'm starved of WWF content, I guess I'll watch WCW Saturday night, which I loved and still do enjoy the old Saturday nights, WCW 605. But yeah, I think you make a great point. I think that's probably one of the biggest reasons why the writing sucks today, is because they don't give it time to really develop. And maybe they do that because we have shorter attention spans and everything's available online. Like at the click of a mouse, we can get everything. And maybe it's just it has to be tailored to the new way of thinking, which we have to have it right now. And we don't want to wait 7 months for a storyline to develop. We want it developed next month for the whatever pay-per-views coming up. Dan says, just got in from a night out with friends. We'll head to Seoul tomorrow morning to visit some card shops, then leave for the U.S. on Monday. Dan is America bound. TD says, LOL, true. You do the same for me. Also, a secret push in the back by you. Thank you. Card Hobbyist says about 2.5 hours for me as well to mow. Holy moly. Let's see. John says, I was 24 in WWE backstage area spelled like a porn set. Brian Myers, what is up? Good morning. Question, I'm going to a card show today looking for some bulk deals. Do you have any tips on how to approach sellers? I'm looking for $2 to $5 cards to sell on eBay. Oh, that's a great question. Right in my wheelhouse. So if you're focusing on $2 to $5 cards, typically you'll find those in dollar boxes, in good dollar boxes, okay? So scope out the dealers with dollar boxes. First step is to find those dollar boxes and start going through and looking for cards that could potentially sell for $2 to $5 online or wherever you're looking to sell. There may be, the first dollar box you go to, it may just be a bunch of quarter cards. Not all dollar boxes are equal. A lot of them suck. So you have to find the good ones, and there are really good ones. As watch the dollar boxes YouTube videos, watch some of my YouTube videos. You can find some really great deals in those dollar boxes. So identify those good dollar boxes, and it doesn't have to be home runs. It doesn't have to be finding a $110 Michael Jordan insert or a $40, Tom Brady numbered card, or a Ronald Acuna super short print. It can be those, I just listed some football cards last night when I was watching crappy wrestling. And some of the cards, I got them for $1 each. They were actually in a $2 box at a card show in Rockford 2 months ago. They were $2 each. And I said, hey, if I buy 100 of them, will you give me $1 a piece? And there was a lot of cards that, I've sold some for 15, 20 bucks. But there's some that $3, $4, $5. They're, I consider those base hits. So look for those. Once you identify the dealer that has what you're looking for, approach them. And usually dealers are in most dealers, and myself included, because I'll sell in bulk at the right price and at the right time. They're more apt to sell bulk at the end of the day, as opposed to if you go, say you're going at 10 a.m. and you get there at 10:15 and you say, hey, will you sell these in bulk? They're more apt to say either no or come back in a few hours, because they're going to give you a discount for buying the whole box, but they can monetize what they have in the meantime. So wait a little, a couple hours into the show, and here's how I approach it. I shop those boxes. Say I'm going to a show, and I'm always looking to buy bulk to get my price point down, and look through and pull out. In many times, I will actually make a purchase and say, like when I bought the dime boxes outright, I pulled out $1 worth of dime cards and paid my $1, and I'm like, would you sell these boxes outright? And he's like, yeah, $50. Fill the whole box for $50, a 4-row. I'm like, well, hell yeah. So I bought 2 of them. After I, spent a whole whopping $1 on 12 dime cards. And I've done that often where I'll, buy, and sometimes that's a great icebreaker. Maybe buy, you identify a $1 box you're interested in, pull out a few cards, spend $5, and that breaks the ice. Good icebreaker. And you're like, would you consider selling this box outright? And since you're giving him money, you have established somewhat of a working relationship, a little rapport, and I think that goes a long way, to as opposed to just walking up and saying, hey, will you sell this box outright? If somebody spends some time, and I'm more apt to work with a buyer looking at my boxes in bulk if they spend some time and money at my table. If they come through and they spend 10, 15 minutes, they hand over a $5 bill and say, hey, would you sell this box outright? Yeah. And, usually I kind of go both ways on this, where usually I have a price in mind. And I think all sellers, the seller should always give the price. Sometimes I play the opposite, because if I'm not interested in selling, say I make a new $1 box at a show. It's brand new. It's never been to a card show. And somebody wants to buy the whole box. I will usually say, well, give me an offer. This is a new box. This is the first show. I'm not really interested in selling. So you make me an offer, because I don't care. At that point, I don't care. If it's a $1 box that's been to like 10 card shows, I'll have a price, and I'll say, I'll sell this for $200 and I'll settle for 150. So that's kind of how I go about it. But I always want the seller as a buyer. I'll walk, if the seller makes me offer him, I will walk away. I won't give an offer. And if I do, sometimes it'll be a low ball offer and he's going to say no anyway. It's like, okay, I'm not interested. I am a little stubborn sometimes. So that's how I would approach it. I would first identify the $1 boxes that have cards that you feel have enough $2 to $5 inventory in them. Maybe buy a couple, maybe spend $5. And then once you have that one-on-one, he's not dealing, because you are now his customer, and you're not just walking up, and he may have other people at his table or he's distracted. But if you're handing him over cash, you have his undivided attention for that moment. And I think that helps. And he will say, yeah. Or, sometimes like the dime box guy, he's like, yep, fill a box for $50. He knows, boom, right off the bat, because he wants to move it. A lot of guys, they're, might be their first box, kind of like me. It's like, oh, yeah, I'm not really interested. They might give you a high price. And then it's like, okay, sometimes and usually I have a price in mind. If it's a 4-row Dollar box, I'm trying to get that for like, it depends if they're top loaders or penny sleeves or what. But I'm trying to get a dollar box in the 10-cent range, 15-cent range, depending on what's in there. I mean, if there's like some really good stuff, then I'll go up to, maybe 25 cents a card if there's like autographs and stuff like that, because I know that stuff can move. So hopefully that helps, and good luck today. Please report back because I want to know how that goes. Those are just some of my ideas. If anybody else has ideas, drop them in the chat or in the comments section. John says it smelled like a porn set in the 80s. Dollar Box says buying is more fun than selling. It actually is. I agree. Let's see, where am I at? Let's see. Dollar Box says, I don't get card fatigue, but there are times when YouTube becomes daunting. It can be, and especially trying to think of a thumbnail. Like if I'm 5 minutes late, it's usually because I can't figure out a good thumbnail to use. And so that's why I'm just like, okay, I'm just going to throw a background and a font, and here we go. Hobby fatigue. Or actually today, it's not even hobby fatigue. It's just hobby evolution. George says, I have shamefully puked up my body weight in Zima back in high school. Dollar Box agrees that 80s WWF was awesome. And Glorious P, what is up? I'm dreading going back to the office. Makes me sad thinking about it. I was totally there twice during COVID. Man, that first go around, was it the first? Yeah, the first go around was before the vaccines came out. And I remember it had spiked, especially in our area, and then it like started declining. So like everybody came back to the office like right after Memorial Day. And I just remember like it was like counting down to like going back, like when you were a kid going back to school. It's like when May hit, it felt like August 1st when you were in junior high grade school. Like, oh crap, I got to go back to school at the end of the month. I got to go back to the office at the end of the month. And then, back in the office for a month. And then one of my coworkers, like wives, got COVID, and it was like a office scare. And it's half the office went back, including me, went back working from home for the next 10 months. And then it's like, well, when you get your vaccine, and then vaccines started popping up, and it's like, get your vaccine, come back into the office. And it's like putting it off. And then it's like, I got to go back in the office. And that's when I went back to the office. That's when it's like, okay, I need a business plan because I hate my job and I hate sitting in this office. And here I am. Dan says, I have to wake up at 6:30 a.m., but now need to decide what cards I may sub to PSA and put them in my suitcase. Kin says, build a detached home office on that new property. Then when you're in the house, you are home. And that's it's kind of going to be, but my thing is like now, like basically my office I have an upstairs office, but it's separate from like the living room and the living area. But I still I take cards to the couch, and it's a mindset. Like the whole home, outside of, the bedroom, I go to bed and that's it. Everything else is, I'll take cards to the couch. I'll take cards out actually, I typically don't take them outside, but it's just a total mindset. Dollar Box says, I live in the woods, not much to mow. That would be good and bad for me, for my liking, because I love the sunshine. I love to just sit outside and have the sun bearing down on me. But I also like the fact of, hey, you don't have to mow. Dan says, you like sitting around and sweating. Yes, you are a bona fide nutso. I am. I love sitting out on the patio drenched in sweat. I am planting more trees in the yard for that reason. George says, don't sub too much, Dan. That exchange rate is putting it right in our pooper. Soon we're going to be working for free. TD says, my thought process right now, usual summer stall, sales down, economy down. November, it usually starts ramping up. So I'm trying to list all I can, figuring end of the year will be great. Mine's actually the opposite. I have really poor November and December. And then basically how, Last year was kind of an outlier where June was actually my highest sales month of 2021. This year, July actually might be. June was actually down this year. But it also had, to dive deeper into the numbers because, looking at a macro viewpoint, like my May was huge. I had a huge May, but I also made a big sale with that Ellie De La Cruz auto, and I bought a ton of Bowman. So where are we at? So I think May is my number one month, although just in volume sales, July might actually beat May. Where am I at in July so far? I think I'm still going to come shy. I'll come. July will be my second highest sales month of the year to date, behind May. June was down. April was really slow. Surprisingly slow. I had a really good March, and I was out of town for 8 days in March. And I still had March might have been my fourth highest sales month. Yeah. Let's see. There's January. January was decent. February was okay. March, even being in Arizona for 8 days, my March is the fourth highest month in 2022. So it's weird like that. And I do have November and December 2021 numbers. Where was I at? November and December. I had a really terrible December. Oof. And my November was decent. November 2021. Let's see. Low Roller says they can hire people cheaper writing articles now. That's why writing articles went downhill. Ken says, all right, we're headed out to breakfast. Have a great day. You as well. Let's see. Low Roller tells the Dollar Box to sell Pokemon and WWE. Let's see. I have been adding some wrestling and hockey. I don't really do Pokemon. I did just buy a big lot of some non-sports cards. Let's see. Where are we at? DR says, I'm debating heading to Cooperstown for a card show next weekend. Not sure yet, but heavily debating it. My card show schedule next Saturday is the Madison Card Show, Sheraton Hotel on John Nolan Drive. 120 tables, 9 to 3 free admission. That's going to be a good show. And then I'll be at the Rockford Card Show August, I think it's 13th. And then the August show in Madison is on the 27th. And then I think I'm going to do the Janesville show the Sunday before Labor Day. Let's see. Card Hobbyist says there's a local card shop here with no prices on their singles. They comp everything from eBay when you bring it to the counter. I don't buy singles there. I probably would just stop going there altogether. I think that's a terrible business model. Let's see. DR says, where are we at? It will be induction weekend, so it might be overvalued based on the weekend. What do you think? Overpriced due to a high traffic weekend or not? Probably. I think it would be cool to be there during induction weekend. But yeah, I don't think, and I think Cooperstown generally, this is just, I've never been to Cooperstown, never been to a card shop in Cooperstown, but my thought process was you're going to pay a Cooperstown premium no matter when you go, whether it's going to be induction weekend or in May or January, if they're open. I think you're going to pay that Hall of Fame premium no matter when you go. I think it would be cool to go there during induction weekend. Just check it out. But I would not expect you to find any good deals. Let's see. You can buy dime box, then you sell it for 25 cents. Let's see. TD says, good experience. You can't go wrong with seeing induction ceremonies. Absolutely agree. And Glorious P says, I'm genuinely so happy for you that you get to do what you want and you are finding happiness. Thank you. I appreciate that. Dollar Box says, September and October are my best months, but I focus mainly on football cards. I'm starting to, once I get through these baseball dime boxes that I bought, I think I'm going to go football. And I have like some of the dollar cards that I pulled out of football boxes over the last couple of months. I've just set aside to list around this time since training camp starts up. So I'll start listing some football. I'm seeing some stale football inventory that's been in my store for like over a year starting to move. So that's kind of giving me the motivation to get some of my football boxes out and list some of those cards. Let's see. Low Roller says, if baseball season is over, are you going to suffer your store in your sale? You can't rely baseball all the time. So yeah, it takes, and that's why November, December are my slower selling months, because I'm mainly baseball. But I do have football and basketball. Right now, it's the middle of baseball season, so that's where a bulk of my inventory is. But like I just said, I'll be listing football cards. Basketball, even during basketball season, basketball was not moving. It was a waste of time to list basketball cards. I mean, some of the better all-star player rookie cards were not selling for $1.50. Where I can sell baseball rookies, even in December, I was moving some of the like Griffin Jacks, like random no-name baseball rookies were selling in the off season of baseball, where I can't even move all-star basketball rookies for the same price. It was really, really crazy. Let's see. Dollar Box says, sellers, price your cards at a show. I agree. Unless it's like a like old tobacco. I mean, actually, you know what? Price all your cards. I'm more inclined, if it's a Bowman Chrome Auto from 2019 Cubs, I'm not going to ask a price on it. If it's a 1909 T206 Joe Tinker, I might be more inclined to ask a price, just because I'm not going to go to the next booth and find one. But a Bowman Chrome Auto, you know, I may find another 7 at the same card show. So I'm kind of like, I'm on both sides of the fence on that. On the same, just playing my own devil's advocate here, though, on a T206 Joe Tinker, those prices aren't volatile. Like, you could price that in January at say $100, and it's probably going to still be $100 11 months later, 12 months later. There's not going to be much price movement. So just price those cards, because you only have to price them once, and there's not going to be like a Bowman Chrome Auto. I understand why sellers don't want to price their cards, because if it's who did Jenny mention? Max Meyer. If it's a Max Meyer Bowman Chrome Auto, 2 weeks ago, it might have been a $40 card. Now, today, he's getting the call. It might be a $60 card. Tomorrow, he starts today. Tomorrow, it might be a $100 card. There's just so much volatility in the modern stuff. I understand why dealers don't price for every card show. They may be doing a card show twice a week. You know, a Saturday show, a Sunday show, or every weekend. So I get it. And I know it's kind of, it's lazy. It's lazy to say they're being lazy by not putting the prices, because I understand. I mean, it's a lot of work to price your cards for every show, especially if you're dealing with modern stuff. So I do get it, but also as a buyer, I find it annoying, and I will walk away if there's not prices on a table. So, you know, I get both sides of it. I do understand both sides of the pricing argument. So Card Hobbyist has to run. I'm going to run as well. Dollar Box is bulking up on soccer with the World Cup coming soon. I just don't know anything about soccer. I throw everything in a quarter box or a dollar box, and let somebody, you know, that knows what they're doing find a good deal, possibly. George says, one of the reasons that I prefer vintage over modern, you don't have to keep up with performance and bandwagons. There you go. Absolutely. So here you go. I'm an hour and 10 minutes in. I thought I had nothing to talk about this morning. We had a great chat. Thank you so much. Hit the like button if you did not already. Subscribe to the channel. Tell your friends. I appreciate it. I will be live tomorrow morning again. It'll probably be just at a random time, likely between 8, probably around 8 a.m., maybe 8:30 like this morning. Tune into Hobby Hotline. That's coming up here in 20 minutes. So check out Hobby Hotline. Who is on the Hobby Hotline this morning? I probably have a mention in my chat. No, I don't. But it might be in the messaging. And today on Hobby Hotline is, Oh man, I missed. There's a whole lot of chats going on that I missed. I don't know who's on Hobby Hotline. So check it out. You'll find out in 19 minutes. Hobby Hotline later today. Check it out. Baseball Card Illustrated, like Spike, everyone. Have a great Saturday. You as well. And if you're at a card show, good luck. Was it Brian that was asking about the bulk deals in the chat? I apologize if it was Brian Myers. Let me know tomorrow morning. If you can join the chat tomorrow morning, please do. I want to hear the results of the card show and if you were successful at picking up some bulk. Have a great day. We'll talk tomorrow. Like and subscribe. See you Sunday.